Well, hello everybody and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies, welcoming you to the all 1950s and early 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. We're here from 10 to midnight spinning original vinyl. Opened up tonight's show with a band leader, piano player whose father owned the label. He recorded on Class Records. The label owner was Leon Rene. We just heard his son, Googie Rene, the second of 22 releases on the Class label, a song called Sidetrack. And ultimately what happened was that his father let Googie run the day-to-day operations and seek out the new talent because he felt his son was more in tune with the music of the day. And that's a cool tune we opened up with from March 1957. Googie Rene and his band on Class with Sidetrack. So before John G gets sidetracked with any more babbling, let's open up the vocal portion here with a group out of the Bronx, New York. You may be familiar with their releases on the Kellett label back in 1958, but this was their debut single, originally released on the Club label in 1956 and currently on my want list. I Had to Settle for the second press on LaSalle. Let's go to April 1957. Give a listen to Phil Johnson and the Duvalls on LaSalle with their tune called Wanna Be Free.
Birds and the bees I love, for they fly from flower to tree. The moon and the stars I love, for they're forever free. A kiss, who wants kiss from you, my dear? I want no kiss from you, just wanna be free. Who wants a hug from you, my dear? I want no hug from you, just wanna be free. I can see by looking that there's something on your mind. I can see what's cooking, for the devil's right there, nesting in your eyes of love. Who wants love from you, my dear? I want no love from you, just wanna be free. Right there, nesting in your eyes of love. Who wants love from you, my dear? I want no love from you, just wanna be free. I wanna be free. I just wanna be free. Keep me free. I wanna be free.
Opened up tonight's vocal portion there from April 1957. Cool tune. I like that record by Phil Johnson and the Duvalls. LaSalle Records for that one. That is the second press, originally on Club back in 1956. A song called I Wanna Be Free. Johnny G wants to be free every Saturday. Spin original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Let's continue here. Many of you know this next 45 is very special to me. Not only did my aunt purchase this 45 in late 1955, it was also the 45 that really sparked me to become a record collector of this great music, and would you believe I own 7 copies of this 45 in varying conditions. It's the second of 7 as we go to George Goldner's Rama record label, along with Jimmy Wright and his orchestra, Richard Barrett on lead. This one from November 1955. Of course, these are the Valentines on Rama and their cool tune, a song called I Love You Darling.
I love you, darling. I love you so. I love you, darling. I love you so. I love you, darling. And I won't ever let you go. Never let you go. I need you, baby. I need you so. I need you, baby. I need you so. I need you, baby. And I won't ever let you never let you go. I love you, darling. You know it's true. I need you, baby. You know I do. I love you, darling. And I won't ever let you, baby.
I just never get tired of that 45. No, I do not. Great two-sided 45 by the Valentines, November 1955. Richard Barrett on lead. I Love You, Darling is the name of the tune. That cool-looking Blue Rama record label. Remember when my aunt played the 45? It would spin and spin around and around. And what are those, like clouds around that Rama logo? I just loved looking at that. That's a follow-up to their big New York City hit. I'm sure you know their tune, Lily Mae Bell. Just a cool tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. We count down the music chronologically here on the 50s and early 60s edition. This next 45, not easy to come by this Harlem, New York girl group. It's the second of 2 on Jerry Blaine's Jubilee record label. And I was told this one is actually much harder than their first release. It's with Buddy Lucas and his Band of Tomorrow. It features Della Simpson on lead. Let's go way back to April 1952 for the Enchanters on Jubilee and their tune called Housewife Blues.
I got the housewife blues and blue as I can be. I got the housewife blues and blue as I can be. Every time I turn around, I'm scrubbing on my knees. I've got the housewife blues. I work all day. I've got the housewife blues. every morning. I cook my daddy's food. My heart and soul is in it, but my body never moves. I've got the housewife blues. I'm blue as I can be. Since I'm married to that man, everything is wrong with me.
She's got the housewife blues.
When I first met her, he said I'd be his queen. But since I'm married to that man, all I do is clean. I've got the housewife
In the morning,
know just what I
in
mean.
the morning, in the dark.
Gonna trade my washing board and buy me a
In the
washing
dark.
machine.
She's got the housewife blues.
Oh, well, it's bye,
Baby, bye.
well, it's bye,
Baby, bye.
yes, it's bye.
Baby, bye.
Well, bye,
Baby, bye.
this morning,
Bye, baby, bye.
in the dawning.
Bye, baby, bye.
Well, I love you,
Bye, baby, bye.
pretty daddy.
Bye, baby, bye. Bye, baby, bye. Bye, baby, bye.
Yes,
Bye, baby, bye.
I say bye.
Bye, baby, bye.
Early girl group sounds here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. They're called the Enchanters. The second of two on Jerry Blaine's Jubilee record label. Della Simpson on lead for that one. The Enchanters with Housewife Blues, and they would later change their name to the Deltones. Releases on Brunswick, Rainbow, and Baton. I featured them here before on the Vinyl Treasure Show. As we move on here, we go to Philadelphia, PA, to Albert Miller's Essex label. Now, you're not going to find many vocal groups on this Essex label. Lots and lots of pop 45s for sure, but not many group harmony 45s. Maybe a Bill Haley and the Saddlemen or two. You will find the Harptones, though. They backed up Bunny Paul on one of her singles. And then there's just this one lone vocal group. They were known as the Medallions. They had this one release, and I'm featuring the intended A-side of the 45. It features John Bell on lead. This one from late 1954. Let's give a listen to the Medallions on Essex and their tune called I Know.
I know, 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 I know.
Oh yes, I know that you and I will never meet again, for you were meant to go away with somebody else. I knew you wouldn't come back to me.
Come back to me.
That night when first we met, I fell in love with you. That night, I know you must have felt the way I did that night, or you would have come back to me.
Come back to me.
I can't forget, oh darling, if I hadn't met you then under the moonlight skies. You knew that our love didn't have a chance,
And yet you didn't say a word.
oh yes, I know that you and I will never meet again, for you were meant to go away with somebody else, for you'll never come back to me.
Come back to me.
Yeah, that's the only vocal group record you will find on that Essex label. Believe it or not, I started out collecting that Essex label. I got a lot of the Bill Haley and the Comet 45s, but that one there, late 1954. They're called the Medallions. It's on the Essex label. John Bell on lead. I Know is the name of the tune. And of course, there was a West Coast group, also called the Medallions, became popular in their song from August of 54. Actually became popular in August 54, a tune you know called The Letter forced this group to change their name to the Manhattans. They had 2 releases on the Piney label, and but they became more of an instrumental group after this release, and they provided the music, believe it or not, for Morris Wade and the Pharaohs on his Ransom release, the one that's credited to Morris Wade. They backed him up on that Ransom 45. John G here for a Saturday evening. We're here from 10 to midnight spinning original vinyl 45s as we continue for this next group. They had 4 releases on Sid Nathan's Deluxe record label, and too bad they didn't have a more success than they did. But here is a side I like by them. It's the second of 4 on Deluxe. It features Eddie Harris on lead. This one from June of 54. Give a listen to the Blue Dots on Deluxe and their tune called Don't Hold It.
Didn't your mama tell you that romance is good? A young man or a young girl should get all the loving that comes your way. Tomorrow don't count what you do today. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
Give me what I need. Please have mercy, please. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
She looked at me, she did. I trembled, I did. I said, don't hold it,
Give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
Give me what I need. Please have mercy, please. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
You better get your loving while you're fine and young. You ain't little baby till you've been stung. Why do you call me your honey bee? You won't sound for my heart. I just can't see. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
Give me what I need. Please have mercy, please. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
You better get your loving while you're fine and young. You ain't little baby till you've been stung. Why do you call me your honey bee? You won't sound for my heart. I just can't see. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
Give me what I need. Please have mercy, please. Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
Don't hold it,
Hold it, give it up.
don't hold it.
Hold it, give it up.
June 1954 release there for the Blue Dots. The second of 4 on Sid Nathan's Deluxe record label. Don't Hold It is the name of the tune. Eddie Harris on lead for that one. Eddie Harris would go on to become a member of the Checkers, and he did lead on their last 2 singles for King Records. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Up next, a group from Roxbury, Massachusetts, formed back in 1952, and at the time their manager Cecil Steen would ink a deal for them with Imperial Records, and they had one release, a very rare 45 in 1953 called Surrender Your Heart, a 45 that I still am looking for. But then Cecil contacted Eddie Heller. He was owner of the Rainbow Riviera record labels, worked out a deal that produced two sides on his Riviera label. Now, this is the second on Riviera, and it's a cover song. It features Teddy Smith on lead. We go back to October 1954 for the Love Notes on Riviera and their rendition of the tune Since I Fell for You.
Falling for you, I am falling for you, may I happy hope. You took my love and now you're gone. Since I fell for you, yes, baby, I'm falling for you. Well, I bring such misery and pain. I guess I'll never feel the same since I fell for you. It's too bad, it's too sad that I'm in love with you. You love me, then you snub me. So what can I do? I'm so in love with you. Well, I guess I'll never see the light. I get the blues about every night. Since I fell for you, falling for you.
Rare 45s here for a Saturday evening. Those are the Love Notes. The Love Notes with the second of two on the Riviera record label, October 1954 release. Teddy Smith on lead, their rendition of the tune Since I Fell for You. That was the follow-up to their song Sweet Sue, back with I'm Sorry. First came out on Riviera. I don't own that one on Riviera, but I do own it on the Rainbow label, Eddie Heller's Rainbow Records. John G here for a Saturday evening. As we continue here, we make our first trip to the Windy City for this group's only release on Al Benson's Blue Lake record label. The song has sort of a bebop sound to it, and it features Von Freeman and his combo. It was written by the lead singer. He goes by the name of Kenneth Childers. This one from April 1955. We move into 1955. Give a listen to the Maples on Blue Lake, and their tune's called 99 Guys.
But Liza got eyes for me. 99 guys got eyes for Liza, but Liza got eyes for me. She likes my cooing, wooing, a skippily alba doing, just as simple as ABC. Say 99 guys would go for Rosie, but Rosie just goes for me. 99 guys would go for Rosie, but Rosie just goes for me. She likes my cooing, wooing, a skippily alba doing, just as simple as ABC. Say
when you go for Rosie and don't pass the test,
swing to Liza, she'll tell you, Jack, that I'm the best. 99 guys will flip for floozy, but floozy just flip for me. 99 guys will flip for floozy, but floozy just flips for me. She likes my doing, wooing, the skibbly I'll be doing, just as simple as ABC. When you go for Rosie and don't pass the test, and then you swing to Liza, she'll tell you, Jack, that I'm the best. 99 guys got eyes for Liza, but Liza got eyes for me. 99 guys got eyes for Liza, but Liza got eyes for me. She likes my doing, the wooing, the skibbly I'll be doing, just as simple as ABC. ABC. ABC.
April 1955 release there for the Maples. They're called the Maples on Blue Lake, a rare label if you collect the Blue Lake label like I do. 99 Guys is the name of the tune. And 45s on Blue Lake, not easy to find, especially clean. But that was the intended B-side of the 45. The A-side's a pretty nice ballad. We'll get that one on next week. It's called I Must Forget You. Actually, I did buy the 45 for that side, but we will hear it next week. John G here for a Saturday evening spinning original vinyl 45s. I apologize for the pops and clicks, etc., but that's what you get when you find these records here. You really can't find them all mint. I wish I could, although this next one's pretty hard to find on a 45. I was lucky to get it even in this condition, and actually I have a number of flip sides from my last 50s show, and this is the first one. I played the intended A-side a couple weeks ago on Murray Katz's Treat label, a nice cover of the tune Let's Fall in Love, as done by the 5 Stars, but most collectors want this 45 for the B-side. It features Cleo Perry on lead. We go back to June of 55 for the 5 Stars, a.k.a. the Inspirators, on the Treat label, and their tune called We Danced in the Moonlight.
We danced in the moonlight, kissed in the dark. Now that you're leaving, you're breaking my heart. What if you ever go? To you, faithful to you. We shared our secrets. Everyone knew. Friends used to talk about the things we used to do. But until you return, I will be faithful to you.
It really doesn't get any better than that. Those are the 5 Stars, a.k.a. the Inspirators. June 1955 release on the Treat label, We Danced in the Moonlight. They were first known as the Inspirators, and then they would go on. They recorded that. I don't know why the label owner just changed their name to the 5 Stars, but they would go on to have one more release. High Weiss's Old Town record label, killer song they do called Starlight Tonight. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening, spinning my original vinyl 45s. We do it every Saturday from 10 to midnight, and we continue here with another B-side from a couple of weeks ago. I featured the Chevelles on Larry Mead's Vita label, with the lead voice of Billy Storm, did lead on the A-side, a song called Valley of Love. Now, the B-side features someone by the name of Bryce Cofield, who originally formed the group as the Sabres on the Cal West record label. So let's give a listen to the intended B-side. This one from May of 56, Vita Records, the Chevelles, and their tune is called Red Tape.
Well, I was walking down the sidewalk on 23rd Street when a real fine chick I happened to meet. Just when everything was going fine, pupils in her eyes turned to dollar signs. I hollered, a red tape, a red tape, a red tape will get you down. I saw a Buick 59 for so much down, and I thought it would find well to see the town. But when the salesman got through talking right so high, I had to keep on walking, hollered, a red tape, a red tape, a red tape will get you down.
Well, now, baby, don't be, baby, any old time. Won't change my mind. I love you, baby. Every tape will get you down.
Well, I spotted a nightclub with no overcharge, and I thought I'd go in where they look real George. Rates charged over to me so fast, I thought she was doing 100-yard days. I hollered, a red tape, a red tape, a red tape will get you down.
Red tape will get you down. Red tape is all around. Red tape will get you down. Red tape is all around. Red tape will get you down.
Well, I finally found a woman I thought I'd like to marry. She had a real cool job and a real nice salary. They said, oh boy, child, I'd marry you, but I ain't gonna work and be a housewife too. I said, a red tape, a goodness gracious, red tape will get you down. Red tape will get you down. Red tape will get you down.
Now you can hear Billy Storm in there too, but Bryce Cofield on lead for that one, and had Billy Storm chiming in on there. Those are the Chevelles, May 1956. That's the B-side to the Valley of Love, a song entitled Red Tape on the Vita record label. Of course, later on this group would become the Valiants, and they would also, this singer, Bryce Cofield, he was a member of the Alley Cats, the Electras, the Happy Tones, and the Untouchables, not to mention had some solo 45s in the early 1960s. Let's continue with another B-side here, as featured it 2 weeks ago on Ivan Ballin's Gotham label. Played the A-side by this great Philadelphia group known as Lee Andrews and the Hearts. Their second release on Gotham, a tune called Lonely Room. I played it on that oddball press, number 319, Gotham 319, and it was really assigned to number 320. But let's flip it over for the B-side, which does not feature Lee Andrews on lead. It features Butch Curry. Butch Curry's doing lead, and he wrote the tune from July 1956. Lee Andrews and the Hearts on Gotham with a tune called Leona.
such a wonderful sight, wonderful sight, Leona, where the moonbeams come over the hill, as I patiently wait for you still, just to fill my dreams tonight. Oh, when we meet, it always brings me to think we'll have to part when you leave. I keep a place for you, dear, here in my lonely heart. You're willing, and my heart tells me you love me too. Oh, how I wish that I really knew. You know I care for you. Oh, and when we meet, it grieves me to think soon have to part when you leave. I keep a place for you, dear, here in my lonely heart. You're willing, and my heart tells me you love me too. Oh, how I wish that I really knew. You know I care for you.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That is the B-side to... doesn't shut off. That is the B-side to Leandros and the Hearts, The Lonely Room, a song called Leona, but Lee Andrews not on lead. Butch Curry on lead for that one, July 1956 release on the Gotham label. And Butch did a number of B-sides on these Lee Andrew releases. Much Too Much, The Flip of White Cliffs of Dover, It's Me, The Flip of Just Suppose, and a tune called The Girl Around the Corner was the flip side of their hit Teardrops. And so that is pretty interesting. But I like that song. I like that B-side here. John G for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes. Really have to say that it's been amazing hooking up again with someone I used to listen to in the late 1970s. I didn't know anything about this music at all, and of course really started listening to the Gus Gossard Show when I saw the commercial on TV, but I don't know if it was Gus's show or one of the trade magazines or whatever, but I live in Westchester County, and when I found out that there was a local radio station at Westchester Community College that was WARY-FM, and that there was an oldie show there on Saturdays, a collector's show, and I tuned in one Saturday, and I really loved the music, and the host of that show was George Tompkins, known as George Doo-Wop Tompkins, and he played some really a great music that I would put down on my want list. And then I don't know, I guess when I started college, I was listening, I was maybe a junior in high school, but then I got into college and I got really busy, and I used to write into these shows, I really did, and because I enjoyed the music so much, and I would give requests, and I would write records that they played because I like these songs. Again, it's the first time I would ever hear any of these records. And then he wrote back to me, and must have been a month or two ago. I posted his letter. I wanted to show the people that follow me on Facebook that I was really involved in the music as a teenager back then, and someone must have mentioned it to George, and he contacted me, and I was really floored with that. He tuned into the show and he was amazed, and I guess I have to say I'm a protege of George, and I'm glad that he's tuned in tonight. So I want to say hi to George Duop Tompkins. Thank you so much for all that you've done for me with this music, and I hope that now I can kind of reciprocate to you, and you can hear these records that at one time you owned, I'm pretty sure, because I'm sure you had this next 45 that I'm featuring, because I really do like it a lot. This group out of Brooklyn, New York, initially recording on Hiram Johnson's Johnson label as the Crystaliers, but you know how label owners were back in the 1950s. They would do a lot of wheeling and dealing, and enter George Goldner into the picture. So the group would end up re-recording this song under a slightly different arrangement from the original Johnson release, and Goldner put it out on his Cindy label. Features Cleo Baker on lead. We move into 1957 for Cleo and the Crystaliers on Cindy, and their cool tune, a song called Please Be My Guy.
La 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 la.
Sounds of 1957 here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Cleo and the Crystaliers. That is the second round for that one on George Goldner's Cindy record label. Please Be My Guy is the name of the tune. Still searching for that Johnson 45, ultra rare 45 on the Johnson label. The closest thing I'll ever come to owning that, or at least at this point, is owning it on the Arcade label. Roy Adams Arcade Records released it back in 1976. And that's a cool tune there from 1957. Forgot to mention that after WARY, George Duop Tompkins went on to become one of the hosts of the R&B Rhythm and Blues Review on WFUV up at Fordham University. Sal Mondrone, I think Bill Shabilsky was there, and George Duop Tompkins, and they really did a great show and was very instrumental with me learning about this music. It really was. And George is actually, his shows are available on the internet. I will get that internet address and give it to you that you can tune in. He's putting them on there, and I'm wondering if I ever sent in a request. I got to check them out. That is for sure. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue with another flip side from a couple weeks ago. This one on William Henry Miller's Acme label. Another great label to collect for sure. And most of the artists on this label were out of the Long Island area. And that goes for this group called the Tempo Tones. I played the B-side of their second release on the Acme label, a song called Ride Along, and this is the A-side, and it's a ballad from February 57. Give a listen to the Tempo Tones on Acme and their tune called Get Yourself Another Fool.
Yourself another fool. Ever thought you'd hurt me? Ever say goodbye? But now that you've gone, dear, let me hear you cry. You used me as you choose. Get yourself another fool. But now that you've gone, dear, I'll set my heart at ease. I'm gonna run on it. That world, yourself another fool. Get yourself another fool.
February 1957 release there for the Tempo Tones. Tempo Tones, their second release on the Acme record label. Get Yourself Another Fool is the name of the tune. They also backed up Nancy Lee. Nancy Lee has two releases on the Acme label, So They Say, a great tune that she does. Jai G here spinning original vinyl. Let's continue here. And here is a female singer that would often perform at many of Alan Freed's rock and roll shows down in New York City. And he would refer to her as the Blonde Bombshell. And she is originally from Jacksonville, Florida. And this is her debut 45. Came out on Bill Buchanan and Dickie Goodman's El Dorado label. And it's a song that she wrote as we go back to January 1957 for Miss Joanne Campbell. Joanne Campbell on El Dorado. Give a listen to her tune. It's called Come On, Baby.
I don't feel so good. Come on, baby, please, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. Come on, baby, please, baby. Why did you leave me all alone? I want you, baby. I need you, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. I can't forget that crazy dark night. The way you held me in your arms tight. Remember how you kissed me goodnight. Come on, baby, please, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. Come on, baby, please, baby. Why did you leave me all alone? I want you, baby. I need you, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. Come on, baby, please, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. Come on, baby, please, baby. Why did you leave me all alone? I want you, baby. Ooh, I need you, baby. Come on, baby, come back home. Oh, baby, please, baby. Come on, baby. I need you, baby.
That's the debut single from Miss Joanne Campbell, January 1957 on the El Dorado label. A cool tune there. Come On Baby is the name of that one, the first of two on El Dorado. She would have lots of other releases on various labels: Point Records, Gone Records, Cameo, ABC, Paramount, and others into the 1960s. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, this next singer had a very successful solo career until it was cut short on January 17th, 1970, when at the age of 32 he died in an auto accident. You may know his debut single came out on Leonard Chess's Chess label, a song called Billy's Blues. Actually, all of his releases were on the Chess label except for one. 145 came out on the OK label, and we're featuring that one right now. And there's a backup band backing him up under the direction of Ellis McDaniel, and I'm sure many of you know who Ellis McDaniel is. It is Bo Diddley, a.k.a. Bo Diddley, and this release includes an uncredited group. They were known as the Marquees. Let's go back to November of 1957. You know I'm talking about Mr. Billy Stewart. Billy Stewart on OK with his tune called Baby, You're My Only Love.
That you come back to me, only me, yeah. You know I love you, can't you see? Baby, you're my
November 1957 release there. Mr. Billy Stewart on the OK record label. Baby, You're My Only Love. You collectors out there, you really want to own that on the promo, the vinyl promo, nice hard vinyl promo. Stock copies are that horrible styrene, although that one played pretty decent. Actually, I have this on a vinyl promo. I featured my stock copy, purchased that stock copy from collector Seymour Simon. Maybe some of you know that collector Seymour Simon. He needed some cash, so he started selling his 45s. He found out about me somehow and offered me a number of 45s in my collection. That was one of them. Was glad to get that one there. But anyway, the group backing him up was called the Marquis. Now, a member of this Marquis group was a young Marvin Gaye, and they had their own single on the OK label. You might be familiar with a novelty tune called Wyatt Earp. They also backed up Bo Diddley on his Checker release, a tune called I'm Sorry, not to mention Harvey Fuqua on two sides that he did. I think one was Unemployment, the other one was 12 Months of the Year. John G is here 12 months out of the year, every Saturday from 10 to midnight, as we continue here with records out of 1957. And I just love this next group out of Brooklyn, New York. And here is the A-side to their second release on Jerry Winston's Onyx label. And the original bass for the group was Marvin Holland, but he left the group, and he was on their initial release called My Love Come Back. So as he left, in comes in a new bass for the group named Charles Moffett. And and of course, this was the first record that Charles Moffett was a member of the group, and it's the hardest 45 to find by the group, with Sammy Lowe and the orchestra and Jerome Ramos on lead. We go back to March of 1957 for the great Velours on Onyx and the intended A-side, a song called Romeo.
Romeo, da-da-da, da-da-da. Romeo, da-da-da. They say that my life in this world I have spent in pursuit of the girls. So now they have for me a Romeo. Darling, I thought I'd let you know. These girls, oh, they are so divine, but I never could make up my mind. That's why I'm known as just a Romeo. But believe me, dear, I want you so. Your heart that is true and your face is so kind, to lips that will help me make up my mind. I searched for your love much before, but now I won't search on anymore. So you see how I live from the start, and pursuing the feminine heart. You stop me from being a Romeo. For darling, I love you so.
Those are the Velours, Jerome Ramos on lead for that one. March 1957 on the Onyx label, a great label to collect. for sure. Great tunes on the Onyx label, and their tune called Romeo, the second of 6 on Onyx. Now, Jerry Winston did not promote this record for some reason, but he did promote their follow-up to Romeo, and a song I'm sure you all know, Can I Come Over Tonight, which I consider probably their biggest hit, although their other great record, Remember, was probably a close second. Both those records charted at least somewhere in the 80s on the Billboard Hot 100, but I'm sure did better regionally, especially here on the East Coast. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on all these cool 45s out of my collection. Let's continue here with another one out of 1957. Now, this boxer, Sugar Ray Robinson, discovered this next singer, was singing gospel at the Zion Baptist Church in Harlem, New York, and Robinson then introduced him to a label owner, Stephen Hodge. He was owner of the Atomic label. The result was this 45, and there's a backup vocal group on this. They're known as the Atomics. They are only credited on the B side of the 45, but let's give a listen to the A side, and believe it or not, this record at one time belonged to George Doo-Wop Tompkins. At least that's what I was told when it was sold to me, and I will elaborate after the song and tell you the story because I did ask George about it. But it's a great record. Let's go back to February 1957 on Atomic. Dennis Brown and the Atomics with their tune called Hiding My Tears with a Smile. Rare 45s out of Johnny G's collection here for a Saturday evening. That one there, February 1957 on the Atomic label. Dennis Brown and the Atomics with their tune called Hiding My Tears with a Smile. Now, the story on this 45 is a collector and a record dealer, I guess we can say. Greg Surik sold me that 45, and he told me at one time, he said, oh, this is George Doo-Wop Tompkins' copy of this record. So I have been communicating with George via email, and he had a very interesting story that he told me that was his it was his copy, but it wasn't his original copy. He had a stone mint copy of that 45, and I think he traded it to Mike Molinaro, another collector that I have done some talking to and dealing with through the years, and that was George's second copy. And again, when he sold his collection, it is now part of my collection, so hopefully I will personally show that record to George again one day. But anyway, let's continue here for a Saturday evening, and got another ultra rare 45 on turntable number 2. It's on Steve Samuel's High Tone record label out of Harlem, New York. Now, this group, they are called the Lyrics, and this Lyrics group is not affiliated with any of the other groups that go by the name of Lyrics, and it's a great two-sided 45, and I'm featuring the intended A-side with Ray's combo providing the instrumentation. This one from 1957. Let's give a listen to the Lyrics on High Tone and their tune called I'm in Love. Ultra rare 45s here for a Saturday evening. That one on the Steve Samuel's High Tone record label, 1957 release. They're called the Lyrics. The Lyrics, a song entitled I'm in Love. Of course, they would back up fellow recording artist on High Tone, Georgia Harris, does a nice rendition of a Christmas song, Let's Exchange Hearts for Christmas. Not an easy record to find, at least on the first press, which every time I see that record, it is beat for some reason. So is mine. But anyway, that's a rare 45 on the High Tone record label. I understand Louis Silvani, I think, told me that the company lost a lot, all their stuff in a fire. I think there was a fire on that block, and that record label burnt down. Their building burnt down. A lot of things destroyed. But anyway, what are you going to do? John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Let's go back to Brooklyn, New York again for this group. I featured the up-tempo B-side a couple weeks ago, a song called Why. This group, they're called the Chessmen, and they are the same group that recorded on the Mirasonic label. They have a later release called I Live For You, but this is their debut 45. It features Bobby Fuentes on lead. Let's go to 1958. We move into 58 for the Chessmen on Safari and their tune called The Keeper of My Love. From 1958 on the Safari record label. Those are the Chessmen. The Chessmen with a tune called The Keeper of My Love. It sounds like he says, though, The Keeper of My Heart, but it's on the label The Keeper of My Love. This 45 has an incorrect spelling of the group's name. There on the label it says Chessman. It really should be Chessmen. And, of course, in 1961, this group would have one more release as the Prelude 5 on the Pick label. That is the same group. John G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the tunes here. We are featuring records out of 1958 now, and on the last 50's edition featured this Harlem, New York group. They were known as the Lollipops. I played the intended B-side of the 45 on the first press. Came out on Universal International. The song was called Believe in Me. But let's give a listen to the intended A-side before I file this one back down in the no humidity basement. We go to May of 1958. These are the Lollipops on the Universal International label, the first label before Holland, and their tune called My Love Is Real.
Well, I told you so often the way that I feel. I feel. You know I feel so good. You know I feel so good. You know I feel. You know I feel so good when you hold me tight. I know I feel.
Yeah.
Well, if you alone listen, you know my love is real. So real, so real. My love is real, real good. My love is real, real good. My love is real. My love is real, real good. It's a day and night. My love is real.
Yeah.
So real. Well, I know you so often. Great that I feel. And if you only listen, you will find my love is real.
From my head down to my toes.
I know
That's the way love goes. Real, 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 real. Real, 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 real.
so.
Head down to my toes.
I know.
That's the way love goes.
Cool tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Great two-sided 45 there for sure. They're called the Lollipops. May 1958 release, My Love Is Real, and featured it on Universal International. Kind of a cool gospel up-tempo flavor to that one. And featured the rare press, as I mentioned, on Universal International. Would be re-released about 6 months later on the Holland label, but still a rare 45 on either label. John G here, spinning my 45s. Hope you're digging on the tune here. Have to admit, this next 45 cost me some bucks. A little bidding war on eBay a number of years ago. I think it was Fred Bond who made me pay for this record quite a bit. I outbid him on this 45. George Lavatelli, I think, was the one who had the eBay auction. Not an easy record to find for sure on Paul Winley's Cyclone label, as I think there were 53 bids on this 45, and you can check it out. Check out Pop Psych. You'll see what this record went for, but can't tell you anything about the group except that they may all have been gang members deciding to cut this record, and then they sort of just disappeared into obscurity. Let's feature the intended B-side of the 45. It's from 1958. They're called the Calendars. The Calendars on Cyclone. The tune is called If I Could Hold Your Hand.
If I could hold your hand, then we would make romance. Oh, how happy I would be making our romance without regret. If I could kiss your if
someone who cares.
Ultra rare 45s, that is for sure. On the Cyclone, Paul Winley's Cyclone record label, the Calendars is the name of the group. Yes, Warren, they are gang members. You never thought that gang members can sing so well. Yes, they could. The Calendars with If I Could Hold Your Hand. John G here for a Saturday evening. I hope maybe you want to hold Johnny G's records, Warren. Maybe you want to do that for sure. But let's continue here. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I filled a request for Bopper Boy Warren. He wanted to hear this West Coast group known as Lenny Young and the Jaybirds. Warren wanted to hear the intended B-side of the 45, a tune called Lovable that would later on come out on the Jackpot label. I think Charlene was to correct me later. She said, Johnny, you wrote down original. I don't know why I got confused with the original, but originally came out, or later on came out on the Jackpot label, so that was my mistake. But featured it on its first label. It was J. Scott Records, but let's give a spin to the intended A-side before I file this one back down in the No Humidity basement. It was co-written by the lead singer. His name is Louis Young, a.k.a. Lenny Young. This one from April 58, Lenny Young and the Jaybirds. It's on J. Scott Records, and they're singing about their gal. Her name is Joyce.
Do 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 do.
Heaven above, night
Yes, Warren, have to agree. Great two-sided 45. From April 1958, Lenny Young and the Jaybirds on the J. Scott record label. Later on, released on the Jackpot label, their tune called Joyce. John G. continuing here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on these cool 45s out of my collection. Featured another request a couple weeks ago for Warren on that show. He requested the Velvets. The Velvets, a group from the Washington Heights section of New York City. And this is the same group that first recorded on the Red Robin label. Warren requested the A-side of a record they do on the Fury label called Dance Honey Dance. Let's give a spin to the B-side. This one on Bobby Robinson's Fury label, April 1958. These are the Velvets on Fury and their tune called I Love You So, So, So. Yes, Warren, have to agree. Another great two-sided 45 there. On the Fury label, April 1958, those are the Velvets. The Velvets, the official title, I, parentheses, love you so, 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 close parentheses. John G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's continue one more 45 as we move into 1959. Then we'll go into 1960. We head back to Los Angeles, California for this next group. They formed while they were attending San Gabriel Mission High School in 1958. They signed with Nordy Beckman's, who owned the Zenith label. The group put out this lone single, initially came out on the Zenith label, but then, for some reason, the owner re-released it on the Stack label, both labels that he owned, and was written by the lead singer. His name is Nick Delgado. This one came out in October 1959. This is Stack Records that I'm featuring on. The group is called The Storytellers. The tune is called You Played Me a Fool.
You played me a fool. I am.
If you will forget the past, it will always be. I was the fool. I tried to be true. But you led me on. You played me a
Sounds of California here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. They're called the Storytellers. October 1959 release, Nick Delgado doing lead on that one. You Played Me a Fool. Featured it on the Stack label. Now, the group would reunite back in 1990, have 3 releases on Dave Antrell's and Bruce Patch's Classic Arts label. I think I featured a couple of those here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We'll get them on again soon. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, let's move into the year 1960 for this next artist, born Amos Blackmore in Memphis, Tennessee, but he moved to Chicago in 1946, began recording for the States label in 1953. Then he followed it with 7 releases on the Chief label beginning in 1957, and here is one on Chief's sister label. It's called Profile Records as we move into 1960. And we can consider this probably his biggest hit. This was number 23 on the Billboard R&B charts back in January 1960. Let's give a spin to Junior Wells. Junior Wells on Profile and his tune called Little by Little.
All night, little by little, I'm losing you, but I can see. Bit by bit, your love slips away from me. It gets so disgusting when I try to kiss you. I guess I don't feel you like I used to do. Little by little, I'm losing you, but I can see. Bit by bit, your love slips away from me. Trail you last night.
January 1960 release there for Junior Wells and some group in the background there. It's on the Profile label out of Chicago, Illinois. Little by Little is the name of that one, the second of three for Profile Records. Now, he would go on to have some cool soul releases in the mid to late 1960s, labels like Bright Star, Blue Rock, and other labels. Johnny G here, spinning early 1960s now. We are in the early 1960s. I just got this 45 in, Warren. Let me know what you think about this next record. It's not in the Crider book. There's a full group in the background. It's a male-female duet. Now, the male, his name is Hal Davis. Hal Davis, he was a native of Cincinnati, Ohio, and first known as the lead of the Victorials that recorded on the Imperial label. You might know a cool tune they do that I like, I Get That Feeling. He was the lead on that song, and he relocated to Los Angeles, had a number of solo releases on different labels starting in 1959. But in 1960, he teamed up with a gal by the name of Ursel Tisby, and there's an uncredited group on this release. The result was this 45 on the Etzel label. Let's give it a spin from October 1960. It's on Etzel Records. It's Ursel Tisby and Hal Davis, and the name of the tune is called You, You, You.
Someone like you, what you ought to do, take me in your arms, please do, let me cling to you. Each other, as sure as heaven above, we were meant for each other, to have, to hold, and to love. You, I say you could make my I say my dreams come true if you say you love me too. If you say you love me too. There's no one like you. There's no one like you.
Duets here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That one is on a label called Etzel Records, October 1960 release there. Hal Davis and Ursel Tisby. And a song entitled You, You, You. Now, this was the first of several sides featuring Hal Davis and a female partner. Now, there was Hal and Brenda. He sang a tune with Brenda Holloway on the Manessa label, and also Hal and Bobby, that being Barbara Jackson on the Swingin' label, a great song, a cover of the Rochelle and the Candles tune, Once Upon a Time. John G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on these cool tunes. We move into 1961. It's been a while since I featured this song by this great Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania group. Really love this song, which my aunt used to play a lot. She played the B-side more than she played the A-side to this group's second biggest hit. At least the A-side was the group's second biggest hit, if you're familiar with their cover of the song Heartaches, a big number 16 on Cashbox, number 7 on Billboard. Let's give a spin to the B-side of the 45. Features Cornelius Harp on lead. It's the fourth of 13 releases on Colpix for the great Marcells. This one from September 61. The Marcells on Colpix with a B-side. The song is called My Love for You.
That glows with each heartbeat. It's filled with the great desire and shows every time we meet. I'm full of love. All I've got is love. All I ever think about is giving you my love. All my love. Baby, take my love. I don't want it, you can have it. All I wanna do is love you. 'Cause all I have to offer you is love.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That is the B-side to Heartaches. Cornelius Harp on lead there. My Love for You is the name of the tune, September 61. Those are the Marcells on the Colpix record label. Let's continue here. And I posted this one up on my Facebook wall so you can check out the picture for this early Motown release. We head to Detroit, Michigan for this group you all know. You all know their biggest hit back in 1962, a big number 3 Billboard smash called Do You Love Me, came out on Berry Gordy Jr.'s Gordy record label, but their first two releases were on the Motown label, and here is their second, written by William Stevenson and the lead singer. His name is Billy Gordon. We go back to August of 1961 for the Contours on Motown, and their ballad, a great vocal group ballad here, a song entitled Funny. August 61 release there for the Contours. The Contours, the Do You Love Me guys. That one there features Billy Gordon on lead. That's their second release on the Motown label. Funny is the name of the tune. John G spinning original vinyl. We continue here, and we go back out to the West Coast to San Bernardino, California for this next group. Their signature song, originally released in late 1960 on the Fleet International label, was then picked up by Bob Keane's Donna label in 1961. And the name of the tune was called To Be Loved. I'm sure you know that. And this is their second biggest hit, I guess, because this one made it up to number 84 on Billboard, but a big number 14 on WSGN out of Birmingham, Alabama. It features Joe Jones on lead. This one from August of 61. Let's give a spin to the Pentagons on Jamie, with their tune called I Wonder If Your Love Will Ever Belong to Me.
Tell my dreams apart, but I love you, dear, and I don't care what it says. That sweet female voice within my heart says to find another love. But how can I, my dear, for I know it's only you I love, and I don't believe a word, not a single thing I've heard, and my love is yours until my dying day. Someday, when you're feeling fine, then I say to you that it's you I really love. And somehow I'll make you mine, and you cling to me like a girl in love. That sweet female voice within my heart says to find another love. But how can I, my dear, for I know it's only you I love, and I don't believe a word, not a single thing I've heard, and my love is yours until my dying day. Wonder if your love will ever belong to me. Wonder if your love will ever belong to me.
That's the first of two for the Pentagons on the Jamie label. Joe Jones on lead for that one. I Wonder, parentheses, If Your Love Will Ever Belong to Me, released in August 1961. And my administrative assistant, Charlene Whiteside, she has 3 copies of that 45. Remember when she was doing the research on this for me, she said there are different title variations on this 45. That is for sure. But those are the Pentagons. Actually, Rick Nelson does a fine version, a cover version of that 45. John G here as we wind down here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue here for this group from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. I think for those people familiar with that area, isn't that in the Pittsburgh region? I think for this is the hardest record to find on this label called World Records, owned by Lenny Martin and Lou Guarino, and the label would eventually evolve into World Artists. It's a nice ballad. It features Bob Gaynor on lead. Let's go to September of 61. This group is called The Pennants. The Pennants on World, Pennants, and their tune called Don't Go.
What's made you cry? How much you grieve me? Don't go, baby. Don't use the words goodbye.
September 1961 release there for a group called The Pennants. The Pennants there on the World label. That label will become eventually World Artists Records. And the name of that tune is called Don't Go. And unfortunately, that's what Johnny G has to do. Johnny G's time for Johnny G to go. That's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to cool original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. You can send me requests, send me what you think about the show if you enjoy the show. And open to suggestions. Yes, I am. I've been recording this one on the Ustream broadcaster. Those of you that had ad block, you can watch it because it has those annoying ads that pop up. You can contact my administrative assistant, Charlene Whiteside. She will send you links, or I will get you links to ad block if you'd like. Don't tell Ustream broadcaster this. But I will get this show up on my YouTube account for you collectors that enjoy looking at the labels. It's for collectors. It's really exciting. It is. But if you're not a collector, maybe not that exciting. But also, you can go to my own website, vinyltreasures.net, where I house all my archive shows. You can stream or download the shows to save on your PC. You can check it out there. But that's going to do it for this evening, folks. And we're going to close the show tonight as we head back to Detroit, Michigan, for an answer song. And this group is answering the Marvelettes' big hit on Tamla, if you're familiar with their tune called Playboy. This group was known as the Pyramids. The lead singer of this group, his name is Vernon Edwards, and he was previously the lead of a group called the Royal Holidays that recorded on the Penthouse and Carlton label, also on Herald. And he also sang with the Satin Tones on Motown, but he left the Satin Tones to join this group in 1962 known as the Pyramids. And this 45 first came out on the Sunbird label, but then Cub picked it up for national distribution. The closer tonight is by the Pyramids from June of 62, an answer to the Marvelettes' Playboy, a song called I'm the Playboy. No, Johnny G is not the Playboy. But that's going to do it, folks, and hope you dug the tunes I featured this evening. I enjoy bringing them to you every Saturday from 10 to midnight. Please tune in tomorrow evening starting at 9 p.m. for my buddy Dave the Rave and his Relics and Rarities show right here on Top Shelf Oldies, and all the shows that are on 8 to 11 here during the week on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to thank Charlene Whiteside for all your help. Charlene, thank you so much again for your help. That's going to do it, folks. I'll see you next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. right here on Top Shelf Oldies for more cool original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
Watch out, that's what the girl boss say. Watch out, whoa, I can't stop a lady. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, I'm gonna win your love. No matter where you run, no matter where you hide, it won't be far enough of people's eyes. But you don't know it. Yes,
what my kisses will do. Watch out. That's what the girls are saying. Watch out. Oh, I can't stop believing. Telling people I'm a nothing in your book. I haven't found a place that I couldn't hook. Ask your friend Janie and the others too. They'll tell you what my kisses